Right, hello there everyone, welcome back to James Redmond TV and welcome to another Redmond Minute. Right, so why are we going to be talking about midfielders again, you say? Well, it's just because it's the common topic, and with Fabinho likely to be on the way out and the uncertainty on the Henderson situation, I think it's important to see who's going to fill in those gaps, because I think we could agree as well, even if both of them stayed, it's still important to realise we still need new players and we still need to get squad depth because we want to compete on all fronts apparently. So if that's the case and that remains to be true, what I need to see to support the claim of us competing on all fronts is a few more players. Now, I'm talking a centre-back, I'm talking a midfielder. Let's at least hope we sort out one of those, because, let's be honest, we've been linked with Romeo Lavia. I saw Amrabat now on the conversations, and listen, I saw things rise about Gravenberch and Kone, but let's be honest, we're not getting those players. I don't think Kone has got the fitness to be able to, because he's had a few injury issues, so I don't think he's got the fitness that we're looking for in midfield, because another injury-prone player from the Bundesliga, no thank you. And then, of course, you've got Amrabat and Lavia, who I think are more suitable to the type of player that we're looking for. Now, what's interesting to me is that Liverpool fans in one sentence will recognise last season was just a blip. It's not to do with the preparation and on what got us to the season of getting 5th place and the unpreparation. Because the second you stop buying in transfer windows and the second you stop improving your team, you stop preparing, and then when you stop preparing, you're preparing to fail. So on that consensus, I think it's important to mention we did a lot of work leading up to last season, which contributed towards last season's failings, and that's why we need to accommodate the squad depth this season. Anytime we've had good squad depth, we competed on all four fronts. That was the case 2 years ago where Minamino and Origi were our backups. I now want to see that same support put into the midfield, because the midfield is the most important part of the pitch, and the fact that was neglected last season. Listen, it's one thing getting all centre-backs injured. It's one thing getting your forwards injured. If you get your midfield injured, that's the most key part of your pitch, because that is the difference of you getting overran and maintaining possession. Because if the quality isn't adherent in the midfield, you're going to lose that battle every single time. That's why the quality needs to be there on a defensive point of view and an offensive point of view. So what I raise in terms of the Amrabat and the Lavia stuff, listen, would I take both? If Henderson and Fabinho go, I think it's warranted that we get both. Because remember, Keita went, Oxlade went, Milner went, Henderson's linked away and Fabinho's linked away. That's 5. But then I mentioned Arthur. I don't want to bring my boy Arthur back into the mix, but that was somebody else who was supposed to accommodate a role that we lacked last season. That's 6 midfielders gone. Now, I'm not asking for 6 midfielders in. And that's including if Henderson and Fabinho fully go. But if they do go, that's 6 midfielders that we have less of from last year. I'm expecting at least 2 midfielders to replace those when you put it in that type of context. Well, actually, we've replaced... Let's actually call that 4, because we brought in Sobbo and McAllister. If you don't bring me at least 1 midfielder, that's a disgrace. 2 midfielders, I think, is sensible. If you get me a mid and a centre-back, I think you're being a little bit more cautious about the rest of the team, which I like to see. So, in terms of the Lavia stuff, we know that Lavia wants to come to Liverpool, and that's about all we know on that situation. We don't know the situation about us putting in a bid to Southampton and how much that will be. It's been rumoured to be 50 million. That might be a bit of an issue if Liverpool don't want to pay 50 million, and that could stop it. But I'm sure we could probably move that 10 million one way or the other. I mean, listen, I think Liverpool have had the history with Southampton to where maybe they could get that deal down a little bit. So Lavia, for me, I understand people have questions on the age, but that's the one that I want more than anyone. My number 2, which is Amrabat, I don't mind him. I really do not mind Amrabat. I actually think he's good, and I know that he's been linked with Man United, and there's qualities that he brings and that he's shown at Fiorentina that I think he could bring well to our team. But the one thing that I question about Amrabat is his ceiling is less than Romeo Lavia, and Amrabat, who's closer to hitting his ceiling, he is someone who I don't think is world-class. I think he can be the thing below world-class, and I don't dispute Klopp can get a shoot out of him. But to be that world-class CDM that Fabinho was, week in, week out, I don't think he can hit that. I think Romeo Lavia, although too soon to judge, I think he can hit that. That's important. I never said that Lavia is currently better than Amrabat. I never said any of these things. All I'm saying, if one player has a ceiling which is here, and let's say he's here, so he's about to hit the ceiling, what happens when you hit the ceiling? You go all the way back down. Lavia is so far away from his ceiling. He's being identified by both Pep and Guardiola. Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp which now means that they believe the ceiling is going to surpass to a point where maybe he can become that next influential CDM like Fabinho was. Not stylistically the same, they are different players. I actually think Lavia has a little bit more to his game on the ball than Fabinho. Defensively is where he'll need to match up, and that's where you think Fabinho was world class at reading the game and dominating the midfield in those sense, and he was alright on the ball, but Lavia has got this special technique on the ball which I think we benefit off. So out of the two options there, I'm going with Lavia. Who are you going with in the comments down below? Because I think it's just a pick up, whoever you get, they're going to improve you a similar amount. So I'm not too fussed on who we get, but Lavia, I think, is the more profitable one. Also, he's homegrown, so it suits with what we need, which is homegrown players. And these are all important factors to take into consideration. So in the comments down below, let me know about who you want. I mean, is there somebody out there that we're not linked with that we should be looking at? I hear people mentioning Kimmich, which I don't think is realistic, because I know that, people are saying, but James, he's got a year left on his contract, and we could probably pay about 50 million and 60 million, which again I agree with, but then you're not taking into account agent fees, you're not taking into account if the player actually wants to join, and if he wants to join, how much is the weekly wages, because the way that you ruin a football club is by paying all of your players extortionate wages. We've seen it in the past where clubs have got humongous wage bills to a point where it's so hard to alleviate them. It's why Arteta suffered for the first 2 years at Arsenal, because he had an old squad which were on such huge wages that it was going to take time to not only get them out, but then also replace them with the players that he wanted, because, Aubameyang for a while, you could tell Mikel Arteta weren't a fan of Aubameyang, or he would have at least liked to have replaced them. Didn't get that luxury because you've got a player who's on 300 grand a week in that position. Why are we going to go and get you someone else? So that's why it's I think it's good when we're about to let go of a player before they ask for too much. I think for our structure, it's important. I know that fans want to see the unrealistic thing where it's just money, money, money. I've wanted that at one point. Now that I analyse the financial situation of our specific club, it genuinely wouldn't be smart to increase the wage bill to such a degree, because again, it can get you in debt, it can get you in problems in the future. If FSG sell the club, then you might be leaving the new owners with debt. So it is good that FSG don't get us into shit financially. That's one good thing that you have to give to them. But at the same time, you think, how much more can we spend right now? And would it be stretching those boundaries too much? No. I think the money is there. I just think Liverpool need to wait for the absolute right player before they even take a risk on someone else, which I don't agree with. I think sometimes if number one isn't available and you need this plaster soon, you've got a wound, and this specific plaster is going to cover that wound and heal it efficiently. The best analogy I've got, I'm sorry. Well, now we need to get that plaster, because all we're going to do if we neglect the wound, it's going to rot, it's going to get worse, like the way the midfield did last season. So I hope that poor analogy correlated in the end. But it's interesting times, because listen, I don't see us finishing this window with no more signings. Especially if Fabinho goes, I don't understand how we live in a world where that doesn't happen. Even for Fabrizio Romano, Neil Jones, and credible journalists of football and Liverpool have all came out and said we are going to be getting that other midfielder, or at least we're looking at another midfielder. I suppose it doesn't guarantee we're going to get one, but based on chances, I think it's likely we get one over the line, and I think the club know the suicide they'd be committing if they was not to get a midfielder in football terms. So that's why I think we need to go out there and get one. Who it will be, I don't know. Will they be good enough? I don't know. But guys, we need legs. And I don't think the players that we're all hoping for, which is the Barellas and the Kimmiches and the Sergio Busquets in his prime, we're just not going to be getting those type of players. Therefore, do you know one that I'd like, that I think's a good shout? Do you know Edson Alvarez from Ajax? Good player, man. Good player. Have a look at him. If you like him, let me know in the comments down below. Is that a good show from Hammers? Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please do smash a like if you enjoy. If you don't enjoy, then you know what to do. And anyway, I will see you later. Peace.